Have you ever looked at your birth year and wondered if it meant something more? Not just the date printed on a certificate, not just a number in a system, but something ancient, mysterious, symbolic. What if the last digit of your birth year wasn't random, but a kind of spiritual signature? A whisper from the universe. A hidden doorway into your inner world. Sounds strange? Maybe even unbelievable? Well, Carl Jung believed that nothing truly meaningful in life is ever just coincidence. He wrote that the psyche speaks to us in symbols, through dreams, archetypes, even numbers, and that sometimes what seems small or silly on the surface may hold the key to our deepest truths. Today, we're going to explore something both playful and profound, the last digit of your birth year, and what it might reveal about your psychological and spiritual path. This is not about numerology. It's not fortune-telling. It's an invitation to see your life and your story through the lens of symbolic meaning. So take a breath. Set aside what you think you know, because what you're about to hear might just shift the way you see yourself and your journey. Before we dive into the digits themselves, let's understand where this idea even comes from. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, had a radical idea: that the universe doesn't always operate through logic and cause. Sometimes it moves through meaning. He called this synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence where two things connect not by cause, but by resonance. Like thinking of an old friend and suddenly getting a call from them, or finding a book at exactly the moment its message is what your soul needed. To Jung, this wasn't magic. It was the unconscious at work, shaping our outer world in response to inner needs. Jung also believed that numbers are archetypes, ancient symbols embedded deep within the collective unconscious. In other words, they're not just mathematical tools. They carry psychic weight. They say something even when we don't know how to hear it. So while Jung didn't practice traditional numerology, he believed that numbers, like dreams, can hold symbolic clues about our growth. And that includes the numbers in your birth year. So here's what we're going to do. We'll explore each final digit from 0 to 9 as if it were a symbolic archetype. A psychological mirror offering insight into your spiritual challenges and inner gifts, not as prediction, but as reflection. And as we go through each one, I'll also share real-life examples, stories of people who embody these energies in different ways. Ready? Let's begin with the number that contains everything and nothing at all. 0 is a strange number. It represents nothing, but also, somehow, everything. In Eastern philosophies, 0 is sacred. It is the void, the emptiness from which all things arise. And Jung, though rooted in Western thought, deeply respected that. He saw the void not as a vacuum, but as a womb. If your birth year ends in 0, you may have noticed that your life often moves in cycles of stillness. Moments where everything seems to pause, even fall away. It's easy to mistake these moments for failure. A job ends, a relationship dissolves, a season of loneliness creeps in. But look again. So often in these empty spaces, something new is forming. Quietly. Invisibly. Like seeds germinating in dark soil. Take Maya, born in 1980. She spent her 30s climbing the corporate ladder, then burned out, quit everything, and moved into a tiny cabin for a year. Everyone thought she'd lost her mind. But she says it was the most creative period of her life. Out of that silence came a new business, a new self, and, most importantly, a new peace. If you were born in a year ending in 0, your gift is the capacity to start again, not from reaction, but from reflection. You carry the archetype of the spiritual womb, the fertile void, but your challenge is trusting the unseen. 0 teaches us that sometimes pausing is progress. The number 1 is bold. It's the spark that separates light from darkness, the moment a soul says, I am. If your birth year ends in 1, your path may center around defining your identity, not as others expect you to be, but as who you truly are. You might have felt this from a young age, a deep inner drive to stand out, lead, or speak your truth. But the shadow side of 1 is subtle, because when we begin to awaken as individuals, The line between authenticity and ego gets thin. It's tempting to prove our uniqueness, to define ourselves by being different rather than being real. Meet Paul, born in 1991. From childhood, he challenged authority. He dropped out of college to start a non-profit. For a while, he thrived. But eventually, the need to stand apart became exhausting. Through therapy, he realized he was still performing, not for others, but against them. His breakthrough came when he stopped trying to be special and simply asked, "What's true for me when no one's watching?" If your year ends in 1, your soul may be calling you toward individuation, the journey of becoming whole. You're not here to dominate or impress. You're here to become fully yourself, quietly, deeply, and with integrity. We've met the void. We've met the flame. But life isn't built by the self alone. It's shaped in relationship, through tension, duality, and reflection. And that's where we go next. In the following section, we'll explore the numbers 2 and 3, the energy of relationships and creativity, and how they can either trap us or transform us. The number 2 invites us into the dance of duality. It is the first moment the self encounters the other. Day meets night. Masculine meets feminine. Inner meets outer. Jung called this the tension of opposites. A space not of conflict but of potential integration. If your birth year ends in 2, your life path may revolve around relationship, not just with others but with yourself. You may be someone who deeply feels the energy of those around you. You likely care, maybe too much at times, about harmony, connection, and emotional attunement. But here's the paradox. In your desire to connect, you may sometimes lose yourself. Take Angela, born in 1972. She was always the peacekeeper in her family, in her friendships, in her marriage. She was loved. But underneath the smiles, she was exhausted. When she turned 50, something shifted. She realized that for years she had mistaken pleasing others for loving them. Today she still cares deeply, but she no longer disappears. She says, "Now I bring my whole self into relationships, even the parts that might disappoint someone." If your year ends in 2, you carry the gift of empathy and balance. But your work is to remember, connection begins with inner wholeness. You are not here to merge, but to meet, soul to soul. The number 3 represents creative synthesis. It follows the tension of 2, and then something new is born. Mind, body, spirit, past, present, future. It's the triangle, the child, the poem that couldn't exist until you brought it forth. If your birth year ends in 3, your soul may be wired for expression. This doesn't mean you must be an artist in the conventional sense. It means you likely feel things deeply, and somewhere inside you there's a need to translate that depth into form. Through words, movement, music, teaching, storytelling, service. But here's the challenge. In a world obsessed with outcomes, your creativity can be hijacked by performance. You might find yourself creating not from truth, but from a desire to be seen, approved, applauded. David, born in 1993, was a talented writer, but he could never finish a piece. Every time he started, he would second-guess, is this good enough? Will people like it? Eventually, he stopped writing altogether. It wasn't until he began journaling for no one but himself that something shifted. He tapped into a voice that was raw, honest, and healing. He realized that the most powerful creativity doesn't impress. It reveals. If you're a 3, your gift is the bridge between inner and outer. But your shadow is chasing validation. When you create from soul, not ego, your expression becomes medicine, not just for others, but for you. So far, we've explored the spark of identity, the mirror of connection, and the sacred fire of expression. But now we come to a deeper grounding. Because no journey is complete without structure, without soil, without the stability to hold your soul. Next, we'll explore 4 and 5, 2 very different energies, one that grounds and one that seeks to fly. The number 4 is the number of stability. 4 seasons, 4 elements, 4 directions, 4 walls of a home. Jung saw 4 as the symbol of psychic wholeness, what he called the quaternity. It reflects the desire to bring harmony to the many parts of the self, to create a life that is structured, meaningful, and aligned. If your birth year ends in 4, you likely feel most at peace when things are organized, dependable, rooted. You may be a planner, a builder, the one who makes sure others are safe and cared for. But here's the paradox. That same strength can become a prison. When life changes, and it always does, the person of 4 can struggle. You may find yourself clinging to routines, roles, or rules that no longer serve you, simply because they once did. Evelyn, born in 1964, spent 25 years as a school principal. She was respected, reliable, the pillar everyone turned to. But when she retired, she spiraled. Without her title, her calendar, her carefully built rhythm, she felt lost. In time, she began to rebuild, not a career but a ritual life. She began journaling every morning, walking with intention, cooking as meditation. She told her friend, "Now I build not for others, but for my soul." If your number is 4, your path may involve learning how to hold structure lightly. Not every wall is a home. Not every rule is still true. You are the builder, but what you build must evolve as you do. Where 4 wants foundation, 5 wants flight. This is the number of movement, the senses, the journeyer. If your birth year ends in 5, your life may be marked by an insatiable curiosity. You want to taste the world, explore, question. You may have changed careers, countries, or belief systems more than once because your soul refuses to be confined. You carry the archetype of the hero's journey, the one who leaves the village to discover who they are. But there's a danger. Wanderlust can become avoidance. Exploration can mask escapism. Some people run toward freedom, others run from discomfort, and it's not always easy to know which one we're doing. Javier, born in 1985, was a digital nomad for over a decade. He saw the world, but he never stayed anywhere long. He said yes to every adventure, but no to intimacy, roots, or rest. At age 37, he hit a wall, not a physical one, but an emotional one. He realized he had 1,000 stories, but no inner compass. It was only when he stopped moving, when he sat still long enough to feel, that the real journey began. If you're a 5, your gift is expansion. But your transformation happens not just in motion, but in integration. The outer world is vast, but the inner world? Even vaster. You are not here to escape. You are here to embody the freedom you've been chasing. Structure and freedom. Discipline and desire. 4 builds the frame. 5 kicks down the door. We all carry these tensions, especially in midlife, when we ask, what do I still want to build? And what am I finally ready to let go? But now let's go deeper, because the next 2 numbers, 6 and 7, take us beyond form and into feeling, into the quiet call of compassion, solitude, and the search for meaning. 6 is the number of love through responsibility. It carries the archetype of the caregiver, the one who holds others through pain, transition, and growth. If your birth year ends in 6, you may feel most alive when you're serving, supporting, or soothing. You likely have a strong instinct to nurture, not just children, but communities, workplaces, causes, even strangers. But beneath this beautiful energy lies a challenge. Where does your care for others end and your care for yourself begin? Jung often spoke of the persona, the face we show the world, and how it can hide what we truly feel. For 6s, the mask is often one of self-sacrifice. You might smile while burning out. Say yes when you mean no. You give and give, until there's nothing left. Helen, born in 1956, spent her life taking care of everyone, her kids, her parents, her co-workers. But at age 60, her body gave out. Not from illness, but from exhaustion. In recovery, she faced a truth she'd buried for decades. I thought love meant disappearing. Today, Helen still gives, but from a full heart, not an empty cup. She's learned that the most powerful love includes boundaries. If you're a 6, your path is to evolve from duty to devotion. You are not just a caregiver. You are a soul with your own needs, dreams, and longings. And when you honor yourself, your love becomes even more healing. 7 is the seeker, the thinker, the mystic. If your birth year ends in 7, you may feel called again and again to withdraw from the noise of the world, to go inward, to ask, what does it all really mean? You might feel more at home in solitude than in crowds. You may find deep joy in reading, learning, reflecting, observing. You are not detached, you are deep. But here lies the danger. Reflection without connection can turn into isolation. Insight without embodiment can become paralysis. Jung described the archetype of the wise old man or wise woman, the inner guide who appears in dreams or myths to offer truth. As a 7, you likely carry that archetype within you, but wisdom must be shared. Otherwise, it fades into dust. Martin, born in 1977, was a lifelong philosopher at heart. He studied theology, psychology, and ancient texts, but never spoke about what he learned. He was quiet, private, almost invisible. At 45, he began teaching evening workshops at a local community center. And something beautiful happened. His insights became lanterns for others. He said, "I thought solitude was the destination, but it was the training ground. If you're a 7, your gift is inner light, but your growth lies in letting that light guide others too. You are not meant to hide in wisdom, but to live it out loud, gently, humbly, courageously. 6 gives to others, 7 turns within. Together they remind us that a life of meaning requires both compassion and contemplation, action and integration." And now, we reach the final 2 digits. These are the numbers of power and purpose, of letting go and stepping fully into who we were meant to become. 8 is often misunderstood. It's the number of manifestation, power, and integration. Its shape, the infinity loop, reminds us that true power isn't about domination. It's about continuity, flow, and conscious choice. If your birth year ends in 8, you may feel a natural pull toward achievement. You might lead teams, start projects, organize communities, or quietly build systems that others rely on. There's a strength in your presence. People often look to you for direction, even if you don't ask for it. But here's where things get tricky. Power without reflection can easily become control. Success can become obsession. Leadership can turn into loneliness. Derek, born in 1978, was a CEO by age 40. He had it all: the house, the title, the respect. But he often felt hollow. He said, "I was building things, but none of it felt like me." Through inner work, he began confronting what Jung calls the shadow of power, the urge to control others when we can't control ourselves. Today, Derek still leads, but with vulnerability. He shares openly, listens deeply, and measures success not by numbers but by impact. If you're an 8, your gift is influence with integrity. You're not here just to build. You're here to steward, to bring consciousness into form, to use your strength in service of something greater. Power is not the goal, alignment is. 9 is the number of completion. It is the elder, the teacher, the healer, the threshold walker. It signals not just an ending but a transcendent one. If your birth year ends in 9, your soul may be drawn to closure, wisdom, and legacy. You may find yourself letting go of identities, attachments, roles more often than others, and that can be painful. But it can also be liberating. 9 teaches us to surrender what no longer serves, not because it wasn't meaningful, but because we're now ready to move beyond it. Grace, born in 1959, was a lifelong therapist. At age 62, she closed her practice. Not because she was tired, but because she felt complete. She now spends her days mentoring young counselors and writing about aging as a sacred right. She told me, "I used to think my value came from what I did. Now I know it comes from who I've become." If you're a 9, your path may involve helping others through transitions and modeling what it means to release with dignity. Jung spoke of the psychic death, the willingness to let old selves die so that something wiser may live. This isn't just for monks or mystics, it's for all of us, especially those who've lived enough to know that less can truly mean more. So here we are, from 0 to 9, from the silence of becoming to the grace of release, each number a symbol, each symbol a mirror. And your digit? Not your destiny. But maybe a map, a quiet invitation to remember the deeper rhythm of your life. We began this journey with a simple question. Can the last digit of your birth year reveal something deeper about you? And along the way, we discovered something even more powerful, that symbols, like numbers, dreams, stories, don't tell us who we are. They help us remember. They act as mirrors, reflecting the parts of us we've forgotten, parts we buried to survive, parts we ignored to fit in, parts we feared to name. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart." This video was never about numbers. It's about invitation. An invitation to pause, to reflect, to look again, not at the world, but at yourself. Your story, your path, your soul's quiet voice beneath the noise. If you are older, this part is for you. Maybe you've raised children, maybe you've built careers, survived losses, endured transitions, maybe you've worn so many roles, parent, partner, provider, healer, that you forgot you were also a soul on a sacred journey. But here's what no one tells us. Your journey isn't over. You're not past your prime. You're entering your depth. There's wisdom now, hard-earned, hard-won. You don't need more approval. You need more alignment, and perhaps more tenderness. For the version of you that's still unfolding. Whether your number was 2 or 7, 0 or 9, know this: you are not here to impress. You are here to integrate. You are not broken. You are becoming. So take your number not as a label, but as a symbolic lens, a way of asking, what have I forgotten about myself? Where am I still trying to fit into a shape I've outgrown? What part of me is asking to be reawakened? There is no digit that defines you, but there may be one that reminds you. And that may be all it takes to begin again. If this message stirred something inside you, if a number spoke to you in a way that felt personal or poetic, leave a comment below, share what resonated. Let's create a space where reflection is not rare but welcome. And if you'd like more content like this, deep, soulful, symbolic, subscribe to Inner Eye's Journey. We make videos for the part of you that's still growing, no matter your age. And please, share this with someone who may need it. A friend in transition, a parent in reflection, a soul quietly awakening. Your story might just become their mirror. Midlife is not the end of the road, it's the turning inward. Your story is still unfolding.